Hey, it's your old pal Gratu Orloff here, coming to you from the jungles of the mountain of Mount Gratu up here in Georgia. You know, when the night falls, when the shadows become dark and black, the silent pall of evil settles upon the earth. Who dares to search? Who dares to see what walks in the night? If you dare, welcome to the nightmare of the Gratu Orloff, God damn it, show. How are you guys doing this wonderful Friday afternoon? We're here in the Tiki Lounge of the Gratu Orloff building. And I was looking at some old comic book price guides. Shit. The Overstreets price guide. $7.50 was quite a pricely sum back in the summer of '76 when I bought this. Is that when I bought it? Probably. I'll have you know that over the summer, it probably was the summer of '76. Maybe it was the summer of '77. I think I bought it in '76. Anyway, I was a sixth grader. I pored over this thing like a monk pores over a Bible, and memorized. I mean, in sixth grade, I familiarized myself with it. Almost every comic book ever made, and all the different companies. A lot of that knowledge has been forgotten. But I just dreamed of someday that I could actually collect these old comics from the 40s and 50s, and of course that never really happened. I bought some of them. I was able to, but I never, things happen, and I just never became a big-time comic collector. Maybe because I collected too many different kinds of things, or there were distractions in life, I don't know. But what attracted me to this on the stand at the G. Sanders bookstore in a little bookstore in Pantego, Texas. Forgive me, these are horrible glasses. I bought them at a dollar store to help me see close up. The Will Eisner Spirit cover, of course, attracted me. But looking through it now, after all these years, it's an ad for Howard Rogofsky and Robert Bell, the guy that invented clear plastic comic bags. But let's see how much prices have changed since then. And but these were all the comics that existed in the world at that time. They didn't list underground comics in here, but it just, and then of course I looked at all the little tiny pictures of the comic covers, and the thing about it is it was a much better time to collect comics then. And one thing that's killed the comic book, this was always a cool ad. It's a comic store up in Vancouver, Canada. Just kind of cool art. Comics starting their numbering over and over again. It's just ridiculous. I don't see any way you could collect comics now. Or why you would want to. The comics of today are so shitty. This is out of... I remember looking at this ad a lot. The American Comic Book Company. They're in Studio City, California, and they show all the books that they're buying. I like the little William Stout drawings of comic book covers. But that's the picture of their store. It's on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, California. But when I got this, there wasn't a comic store in town until the next summer, which is summer of '77 is when Lone Star Comics opened. And so anyway, lots of cool old ads for comic stores and dealers. Oh, this was one that was close to me that was open even then. It was called Tanner Miles Comics and Things. And see, there's Tanner Miles there looking like Thor. But I was in Arlington, Texas, and this was way over in Fort Worth, which is a good, 20 miles. It says, "Hi, I'm Tanner Miles. If you're a fan, come to my new store for comics, big little books, movie material, pulps, monster magazines, comic character toys, and more. If you cannot come in, send for my current comic catalog or movie material catalog." It says he's a special advisor to the guide. Comics, Golden Age to present, stills, movie posters, lobby cards, press books. And he has his address for his store, 612 North Sylvania. Okay, so this is 76. I wouldn't go over to Tanner Miles' store until about late 1984 when I met my friend Tom Ranoni, and he was a big he wasn't a comic book collector. He collected movie memorabilia, movie posters, and soundtracks. And so we went over to Tanner Miles, and Tanner Miles was a great guy. But I think I was expecting to see this guy that looks like Thor. He looked very different. But anyway, had a whole back room filled with movie posters and great. It's where I got some of my Mamie Van Doren posters and things. It was a great store. But let's see, what would Amazing Fantasy 15 sell for back in 1976? Let's take a look. Amazing Fantasy. 15. Origin and first appearance of Spider-Man by Ditko. Kirby Ditko cover. Back then you had Good, Fine, and Mint. There was none of this 9.8. CGC didn't exist. You have Good, Fine, and Mint. In good condition it was $80. In fine condition it was $120. In mint condition it was $160. So if you were an adult comic collector back in the 70s, you could have amassed a fantastic collection of Silver Age and Golden Age comics. Let's look at Marvel Comics #1. Yeah, but then you got to know that $160 was a lot more than it is now, but it's still, in 1976, Jimmy Carter was president. There was inflation, but, let's see. There's little tiny children playing outside, so it's angering my dog. Marvel Comics #1. Origin of Submariner by Bill Everett. That was $2,500 in good condition. Fine to $3,750. In mint it was $5,000. It says prices vary widely on this book. A mint condition copy of something from 1939 I wouldn't imagine there are many of those. Anyway, back then in 1976, you could really do something. So these old price guides, I don't buy it every year. I haven't bought one, I don't think, in years. Because now a price guide, like how, that's the other problem, is all these variant covers. How do you account for that in a price guide like this? You'd have to show the covers. So really, you really have to go online now as a collector if you're collecting this modern shit to figure out what you've got. And I would, mycomicshop.com shows all the different variant covers and all that. Well, it looks like the next time I got it, that was number 6. No, these are out of order. Looks like I didn't get number 7, but I came back for number 8, which has a Bill Ward cover. Now, about a mile and a half from my old house was a printing company, and my friend went in there and he said that there were Bill Ward pictures, paintings framed all over the walls in there because they had printed a kind of dirty magazine called From Sex to Sexty there back in the 70s, and they had all this original Bill Ward art on their wall. Bill Ward was great. It was back to the golden age, and then, he did very X-rated stuff in the 70s for, he did what he had to do. Anyway, so it's fun to look through these old Overstreets. We've got, they've always got the color gallery. Welcome to the Marvel Universe. It's fun to look at the ads in the back. The Idaho Comic Store. Yeah, if life had pulled me a little bit differently. There's the ad for Tanner Miles that store I was talking about in the 78 price guide. Maybe I don't know. I just realized I'm never going to be able to get a lot of these old books, but it's nice to look at these old things. I'm Bruce Hamilton. I remember seeing that illustration. Some rich cowboy that's got a whole bag full of gold coins ready to buy your comic books from you. Here's the ad. Climbing the walls because you can't find your favorite comic? Then drop by Lone Star Comics and Science Fiction. That was the first comic store I ever went into, and so they were then open 78. They were across from Whataburger. Yeah, I guess they kind of were. Buddy Saunders, owner. So this is their second look. Did they only stay in their first location a year? I would have thought in 78 they were still in their original location. Anyway, do we have comics? Sure. 75,000 at last count, new and old. But comics are just the beginning at Lone Star. We aim to serve the total fan. Want to see what we mean? Just drop by and let our huge selection boggle your mind. Comics newsstand. No more driving all over town looking for the new issues. Over 800 new SF and fantasy paperback titles to choose from. Again, no more haunting book racks looking for the newest Zelazny or Howard. Fanzine newsstand. Ever wish you could see what you were getting before plunking down your coins? Now you can. Yeah, he actually carried foam in the store, and Rocket Blast comic collectors. So, but I'll tell you something. It says no more driving all over town. Buddy Saunders. Now this is before my time, but in the mid '60s, when all the great comics were coming out from Marvel, Buddy Saunders was a dealer even then as a teenager, and I have been told that he drove all over Arlington and bought up all the Marvels. He knew the day they were coming out. So yeah, he knew what he was doing even then. But this store was Lone Star Comics and science fiction. These role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, I think, was just about to be invented. Luckily, I like comics and I like science fiction. Everything else that fills comic stores now, some comic stores are only 10% comics now. It's mostly Pokemon and role-playing games, stuff I have no interest in. Fancy newsstands, whatever. Posters, more than 100 to select from, including all the Frazettas, Undergrounds, heavy metal, collectors, hardbacks and paperbacks, portfolios, comic bags, Star Wars, out of print, hardbacks and paperbacks, and you guessed it, more items than you could possibly imagine. You're not in the North Texas area? Then send for our free buying and selling list. We buy comics and science fiction, small lots or whole collections. Yeah, that was my local comic store, but they didn't have Golden Age in the store, and they had some Silver Age, but more than likely the Silver Age you were going to find. Well, I did buy a lot of 60s Fantastic Fours there and Thor. Spider-Man comics they had tended to be sold immediately or were too expensive for me as a kid, teenager. Yeah, I loved comics up to a certain era, probably till about, let's see, what this is, number 8, 10. Oh, here's number 9. Number 9 is a great EC cover. Look at that. Oh, boy. Look at this guy. The paper mache Sinestro head. That's pretty great. Yeah, this American comic book company always had great art on their ads. But I like to flip through and look at the ads. I love to look at them back then when these were stores that were actually in operation. And now they're even more fascinating. This company got Bill Ward to do a painting of the Reform School girl cover and make it Reform School Comics. It's who is the company? The Book Sale, which was in Orange, California. Yeah, Bill Ward was actively taking commissions. See, has a whole page, and so everybody's like buying up, having Bill Ward do illustrations for them. Creator of Torchy, 1943, Blackhawk cartoonist from 1942 to 52, premier romance cartoonist of the Golden Age and probably the most versatile comic book cartoonist of all time, will recreate for you an original in full color, 21 by 17 inch, any of his 16 Golden Age covers reproduced in the 1978 price guide. Send for his price list. Okay, so he would do any of the covers that were reproduced okay, so he was on the cover of the 78 price guide, And so the next year, he was capitalizing on that. He probably got a lot of requests. Because there are a lot of collectors that had maybe there were collectors that had forgotten who he was, and then they got all jazzed up and wanted to, let's see the covers that they're talking about. Anyway, what a shame how the world's changed. I mean, really. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong one. Look how meticulous I was. Shit. Look how meticulous I was in taking care of these books. Like a nut. Because see what I do is with these things, I read it like this. I hold the spine with my fingers. I don't want it to bend and get creases. And then I'll read it. I'll do this and this to prevent it from getting creases. Let's see what Amazing Fantasy 15 is going for now in 1979. Oh man. Look at this Space Hawk illustration from Basil Wolverton that he did for Jerry DeFusio. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Amazing Fantasy. Amazing Spider-Man #1 was $405 in mint, $135 in good, $270 in fine. But Amazing Fantasy was $450 in mint, $150 in good, $300 in fine. Yeah. But then, the value of money has changed, as I said before. Yeah, there's the Lone Star ad again. Okay, so that's 1979. Then there's the number 10. Anyway. We've been keeping our dog Drew out of the attic or the penthouse, basically the fourth floor where we sleep. But last night we decided, okay, we're going to let her go up. I brought her little bed up and opened the door and put a little pad down for her and everything. And so we're just, gradually giving her more territory to destroy. Just kidding. But that was a momentous thing last night. So my wife's been sick and didn't actually even leave the upstairs area for a couple of days, and the dog really missed her and vice versa. So they decided, let's open things up. Here's a C.C. Beck illustration done for Robert Overstreet. I imagine you guys have all these fucking things. Bia, I will buy anything. I'm sure that's exactly what she looks like. I I've got a lot more Overstreet guides. Maybe I'll look at some of them here in a little bit, depending on how things go. Here's a book that Captain Strangelife sent to me yesterday, Fandom Confidential by Ron France. And this review by Jerry Bales, filled with players motivated by idealism, righteous indignation, lust for power and fortune, and paranoia. There are bad guys, but most of the characters are just fallible human beings caught up in a highly alienated, competitive world that doesn't countenance losers. Fandom Confidential is a behind-the-scenes peek at the heroes and villains of comics collecting, says Greg Theakston. It's a fascinating study of the origins of the hobby, the people who populated it, and the crimes of passion some of them committed. So this is printed in Arkansas by the Midgard Publishing Company. And yeah, all about the old fanzines and things, and I can't wait to read this. It was really nice of him to send this. He also sent a tripod for my camera. It's even autographed. Shit, he sent me an autographed copy, man. That's pretty cool. This is from 2000. There's a history of fandom. I forget what it's called. That they must have just printed a new edition, because I saw Horror Mike and some other people in the Four Color Fossils were talking about this golden age of fandom. There's like 2 books put out, I think, by Two Morrows Publishing, and I have an older edition that's I think bigger. I mean, I maybe not stuff added to it, but I mean it's just bigger in size, it seems like, than the one they were showing. Well, I brought a box down I was going to go through, and it's nothing too rare or anything, but I'm just organizing, and these are fun for me to look at. So if I'm going to look at them, I guess I'm going to look at them with you. Now, I'm a big fan of Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. The 1960s issues I keep in boxes upstairs. That's the amazing era. There's nothing like it. It was being written by a 14-year-old that sent the stories into DC, and so it didn't feel like a guy in his 60s trying to write the way a teenager would talk. It felt more real, and it was just a cool comic. Superboy, he's this lonely guy in Smallville. He's a young Clark Kent before he becomes Superman. He's still going to Smallville High, and he flies into the future like all the time to hang out with his buddies who are a superhero league in the future. And I don't think DC has the rights to use Superboy as that Superboy anymore because of a lawsuit from the creators of Superman. It's like, yeah, we sold you the rights to Superman, but you never got full rights to Superboy. So they changed Superboy. Now he's a clone that's half Superman and half Lex Luthor, and he's a teenager and wears like a black t-shirt with a Superman symbol. It's not Superman they had to retcon all that because of this lawsuit. That's my understanding. I'm probably wrong. They still have a Legion of Superheroes, just Superboy doesn't interact with them. I think Supergirl interacts with them now, because they still own Supergirl. If I'm correct, fantastic. If I'm not, then, I'm sure there's more, there are people on YouTube that do a lot more research than me. So I put my Bronze Age Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes in this separate box. I just decided to do that. I don't know. I have this little mystical connection with these 70s issues, too. They're amazing. The outfits that the Legion of Superheroes wear are these outlandish 1970s looking uh, unbelievably weird outfits. And I don't know. There's just a. Um, I think the summer that Star Wars came out, I think I'll probably be able to spot the first Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes comic I got right after Star Wars came out, and they were in a bar with aliens in it, kind of like in Star Wars, and I just really connected with it then. Um, so I don't have a world class collection. One thing I'm doing is seeing what issues I'm missing. Okay, so this is a 100-page super spectacular of Superboy. It's reprints. There is a Legion of Superheroes story. Why is it every time I start filming one of these fucking shows, I start realizing how hungry I am? Okay, so I don't think that's DC 21, so that's probably actually 100-page super spectacular, not for the Superboy run. Okay, so the Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes was in Adventure Comics. And then Adventure Comics became Weird Adventure Comics, and they started having the Spectre and different characters like that in it. And then there was a separate comic, Superboy, and they put the Legion of Superheroes into that comic. So this has that looks like a Kmart sticker to me, doesn't it? Key, they were selling it for 25 cents, I guess. Well, which is the price there, but I guess they had to put the actual sticker on the comic. I don't know. This is a nice looking copy. Well, sort of. This is 185. That was 182. So I'm missing 183 and 184. It looks really nice. It looks like there's a little bit of a mess there on the Y, but there's the Legion down there. Looking as they did in the 60s. Okay, so that's 185. You know what that could have been? That might have been a stamp from an Armed Forces bookstore or a PX. They would stamp a little star on your comic when you paid for it, and that looks like maybe it got smeared when the ink was still wet, possibly. Okay, so 185. And then I'm missing a bunch of issues because the next one is 197. New Timberwolf, Dead Hero Live Executioner. Now you can say, is the Wolverine's first appearance, is it in Hulk 180 or 181? Maybe it's here, because that sure looks a lot like Wolverine. And if you look at him close, it doesn't. But just, if I was to hold it like this, you'd say, oh, why is Wolverine in a DC comic? What am I doing, man? What the fucking hell? Oh. I've got some comics I've got to file into here. Yeah, I do have some books I've got to file into here, so maybe I'll find some of those missing ones. Here's 198. Moving the tripod. I'm trying to get better lighting. I don't know if that's better or not, man. I think the bag needs to be changed. Looks like I purchased this for $2. It's not in very good shape. I don't know. So that's $198. Amazing. $199. See, the girls are starting to get these outfits that showed more skin at this point. $200. Ah, yes, this is when the horror influence was hitting DC, when the Comics Code relaxed its standards and let horror in comics, and all the superhero comics reflected that for at least a few issues. Okay. Oh, look, I have 2 copies of that. Amazing. So that's 200. 201. Here's another 201. I do have duplicates of a lot of these because it was like a tradition. Every summer, when it became summer, when I was out of school, or just whenever summer hit, June 1st, whatever, I would have this instinctive urge that I needed to buy some Superboy and the Legion of Superhero comics, because and so I would go out and find some, because it was summer, it's just time for Legion of Superheroes, and therefore I would wind up buying a lot of the comics over and over again, because there were only so many of the comics. Here's 202. Man, this lighting today is sucking, man. 202. Another copy. Here's 203, really cool copy. Really cool illustration. Oh, cool, man. Look, it's an Amish guy. There. See that? It's like right out of the past. I don't know if you saw that or not. I think the Amish are pretty fucking cool. 203. It's like all of a sudden you're in an episode of Little House on the Prairie. 197. It really takes balls to be so different, you know. It just 203. Some people hate them. I don't know why you would hate them. So how many 203s do I have? 2 203s. But it is summer. I haven't bought any Superboy comics because there's no comic stores around. Here's 204. Here's another 204. How am I going to fix this? Why am I having all this trouble with the light today? Maybe I should switch to the other chair. Okay. Okay. All right, let me show you this one, and then did I show you 205? I don't even remember. Here's another copy of the same issue. All right, what I've got to do, I want to Let's switch over and try to get better light. Hold on. All right, let's go upstairs and because I think there's some there's some comics up there I'll put into this box. Might as well do it now.
So folks, please continue to keep us on air by shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. The supplements are all great. I use them myself.
I've been watching a lot of Alex Jones this week because things are getting so weird, and he's hated by all the people that are doing all the horrible stuff to us, so I figure he must be over the target. All right. So, the comic room's in a state of disaster. But we're building back better, gradually. Swamp Thing. Okay. All right, I was right. I have a bunch of them, or at least a few. All right, Drew, let's keep going. Let's show you this CD I made years ago. Batman A Go-Go. It's filled with Batman themes. I think I showed you that a few episodes ago. Where is that book about comic book fandom history? It's here somewhere. Somewhere here. I don't know. This picture I've discovered is a fake, and now I have the original. But you see how the kid's face is darker than his neck and his hands. That's actually Russ Cochrane's head. Russ Cochran, the guy that reprinted the original art from EC Comics, glued his head onto this picture. It's actually a kid that's a little bit older, and it's a bigger picture, and this kid's in a comic book warehouse reading all these cool comics. But anyway, that's not his real head. There's some skullduggery going on there, but it's still kind of a cool picture to have in your comic book room. All right. So head on back to the Tiki Lounge. Put up this picture of angels. This picture of Clara Bow once was in her house. My friend bought it from an estate sale. They're at Clara Bow's house, apparently. Okay. I'm gradually making this place a little bit nicer. I'll show you. I've had so much stuff from the unpacking. Now I've got all this space cleared off. And now I just have this stuff I need to take upstairs. And, I've been able to clear a lot of this. You know, Drew is starting to bite at my ankles because she's hungry. So I need to feed her real quick. Okay. Drew, cool it, man. I'm feeding you.
In media. So let's make sure that happens, folks, by going to InfoWarsStore.com and keeping this on air. So get your signed book, but don't forget about the great supplements as well.
Let's feed Drew.
Top-rated, top-selling supplement at InfoWarsStore.com. It's been sold out for a while. It is back in stock and 25% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Big discounts on top-selling items like Bodies back in stock as well. Vitamin B12 Ultra 12. Brain Force Ultra. Down and Out Liquid Sleep Support. It's all at InfoWarsStore.com. Your support there keeps us on the air.
For less than 20 minutes, Alex Jones questioned the official narrative of the Sandy Hook school shooting. Because for the so-called truther community, that was the big story. And so he did his job and covered the story. Just like he's done for the other 1.8 million
All right.
of his career. Alex Jones has been questioning the official narrative of the corrupt mainstream media and exposing the authoritarian cabal hiding in the shadows for 20 years. And over time, this revival of truth has grown into millions.
Yeah. Anyway. Buy 1970s Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes is my advice to you. They're not super expensive. Got a little bit of dog food juice on my hands, and we're going to be handling comics, so we cleanse our hands. All right. So, let's see if we can have better light this way. Get the microphone for good sound. Let's get those other comics in here. Drew, your food's in here. All right. Fantastic. Let's get these comics I've got to put in order. 296, 298. Yeah, the Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes around the time of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, it started to get all confusing because they restarted the numbering a bunch of times. I don't know. To me, it was a little confusing. All right, back to Superboy. Let's see if the light's better this way. All right. We're up to 206. Is the light better? Maybe I got too many of these gimmick lights going. You know, is it hot where you're at? It's a little hot here. It's amazing. It's never been hot in August before. Oh, I probably need to plug the phone in. Yeah, another copy. 206. Okay. So I'm doing pretty good at this point as far as, you know, I'm up to about 1975 and looks like I don't have any skipped issues. Let's plug you guys in and give you the power. Here's 207. $208. And two more copies of 208. It's 209. This great Mike Grell cover. And see how the 1970s influence on the outfits. 209. Oh, this is not in very good shape, but it's 210. Looks like I'm missing 211. So I definitely am on the lookout for 211. If you've got duplicates of 211, I might want to trade you or something. Here's 212. $213. $214. Another $214. Okay, 214. We're missing 215. Here's 216. So these bags do not last long. This bag can't be more than a couple years old and already looks like it's 15 years old. Shitty brand. 216. So it looks like I'm missing set 217 and 218. Here's 219. 219. I just showed you. Okay, there's 2 copies of 219. 220. Okay, we're in the 30-cent era now, and we have been for several issues. Fucking hell. Oh, it's weird because it's like there's a bunch of air inside this bag. All this air got caught in this bag. It feels like a pillow. Let the air out. Fucking weird. Well, tomorrow, I'm looking forward till tomorrow because they're on Saturday. There's I think all day. There's on Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you go to the Rumble app and go to Right Side Broadcasting, they're going to have some kind of program called the Pit, and it's something that sounds cool. 220, not a horror movie. It's about things that happened a couple years ago that people argue about. 222. So that means, am I missing? I'm missing 221. Boy, that pisses me off. I've got a bunch of. Well, I don't have that many missing issues. It's something that's doable. 222. I'm missing 223. Here's 224. The bell bottoms they start winding up with are very spectacular. Okay, now we're to 225. That's good. I think we're getting up to about the time that Star Wars came out. And of course, Star Wars will help boost the sales of this comic. Here's 221. Here's, what? 221. And then the next one I have is 234, but let's see about this stack I pulled from the other room. 221. I thought I had a 2. What is this? Oh, it's a beat up copy of 222, which I already have. Yeah, this is really beat up. It's got a rolled spine, but might as well take the opportunity to show you the interior. Really great art. This was just a really fun comic to read. It helped make the 1970s a little more bearable. That was a big loss, Olivia Newton-John. And from the Seekers, Judith Durham. I always loved her singing. You know, there's something about female singing where they enunciate properly. They enunciate all the words properly in singing from a female voice. I think it might be, maybe it comes from a childhood crush on Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews, and the way that she sang in that. But something about every syllable being pronounced properly is really cool, man. Okay, what else do I have here? Okay, 234. How did I miss so many issues between 221 and 234? Why don't I have... I'm missing a chunk of issues there. I didn't think I was. Unless there's somewhere in another box. Wait a second. No, they're just out of order. 230. They're out of order. 221. What is going on? 221. 230. Okay. So what is this? Okay. So 221. I am missing a chunk of issues because then I have 227. That was out of order. And then here's 231. Oh, and the other thing I'm looking forward to tomorrow is Charlton 66 sent a package, and the little it's supposed to show up tomorrow. He went to Pulp Fest last Saturday, and there was a magazine called Pulpster that I've never heard of, but apparently it's been printed for years, and they do a whole issue on the history of Fiction House pulps, and he picked up a copy for me, so that's supposed to come tomorrow. So that's another reason to keep on going. Here's The Great Reset. 232. $233. There's 234. And another copy of 234. Okay. All right, 12. Okay. Okay. This is cool. 236. It name drops other comics. Superhero Action, Outer Space Adventure, and Young Romance. This one's got it all. What a great cover. Okay, 236, 237. This fucking thing, man. This light's driving me crazy. 237. Okay, 238. This is a reprint from the old days. And I've got 2 copies of that. Okay. Now, this is the first one I ever bought. 239. This came out right after Star Wars. I'm pretty sure it was this issue. Remember, I mowed the lawn for my father and I got some money, and pretty sure it was this one. Yeah. It's right about here that I started reading them. Here's 240. So I imagine it's going to be a pretty complete run from this point on. Here's 241. Here's 242. 242. Second copy. Here's 243. Okay, let's see if any of these extra ones. Oh, here's yet another copy of 242 that I just pulled from upstairs. So let's get that in there. 242. So now I realize I have 3 copies of 242. And this next one is 248, so but we're not up to that point yet. 256. All right. Okay. Well, then here's another copy of 243 and another copy of I've got up here, I guess, 3 copies of 243. Here's 244 and another 244. 245. 246. Okay, now I can insert this 248. Looks like I'm missing 247. I've got 3 copies of 248. Got a lot of duplicates that I could trade if you've got some of these ones I'm missing. 243. There's 249. Another 249. 250. Congratulations, Superboy, on your spectacular 250th issue. Then I have 251 and 251 and holy shit, man. We've got a lot of 251. 1, 2. That's 6 copies. 7, 8. Seriously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think I have 15 copies. Oh my gosh, 251. Two. I don't think I need that many. 248. Look good on a spinner rack, I guess, but here's 252. Another 252. 254. 255. 256. 256. 257. I think this is a throwback to a cover from the 60s on Adventure Comics where they're all being led in chains up into a spaceship. Pretty sure. Oh, shit. I keep doing that where I'll be watching this Alex Jones show and all of a sudden it'll turn itself off. I have a feeling that that's being done to him, but either that or the Rumble app is just wonky because I heard it shut off. And see, the screen has gone out of it, so get the remote. Rumble. So I'm recording it, so now I have a little bit of a hole in it. Subscriptions, InfoWars, click on it. All right.
He seems like a straight shooter, doesn't he? He seems like a
all right.
smart guy and a straight shooter. And so again, let's
so right. So what were we doing? 255? No. Okay. So I have another copy of 255 I need to put into that pile. What is this? Another copy of 249. Do I have a 249? $251. 248. Okay. Did I show you 249? If not, here's 249. I think I did. Shit! Yeah, I showed you these. Alright. Alright. 248. Alright. Did I show you this? Did I show you 258? I don't think so. These are out of order. Here's another 258. And another 258. Okay. 258. Okay. And then, I'm not sure what happens. There's a hole in the collection. Could be in another box, but then it looks like here's 267, and suddenly Superboy is no longer part of it. But it's continuing the numbering of Superboy. But Legion of Superheroes kept going with Superboy's numbering. And then they started, I think, a separate Legion of Superheroes. I'm sorry, it started a separate Superboy comic. And I believe that this is all because of the Crisis on Infinite Earths did this. 269, 273. This one isn't in too good shape. It's just some of these crummy creature creations. Okay, so that's 273. Here's 274. 275. 276. Yeah. 277. It just Superboy's supposed to be part of this, and they had to change that. But then I guess that was probably really because of that lawsuit. Not Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think, was just an excuse. It was really the estates of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, I think, were wanted the rights to Superboy back. But I don't know what they can really do with those rights. There was I thought, a pretty crummy Superboy TV series back in the 80s. I guess it was in the 80s. And then Smallville was effectively a Superboy series that just he didn't wear the suit until the last episode. But its first few seasons I thought were really good, and I liked the actor that played Lex Luthor. And then I stopped watching it because I think there was a decline in quality. And then at a certain point, they started trying to put all these other DC heroes into it. And I think I remember I watched the last episode, but the quality slipped on that show. 267 to 287. Speaking of shows, I guess I must have started talking about Star Trek a few episodes back when... What? Hold on a second. Oh, anyway, I was showing the Gold Key Star Trek comics, and maybe I was talking. I love the real Star Trek series, from '66 to '69, and I think that pisses people off when I say the real Star Trek series, because that implies I don't think any of the rest of them are real, and I should explain myself with that, because I sound like I'm just some crank trying to piss people off. And I'm not trying to piss people off, but I've had people get really angry at me. This old friend of mine, he's that's since passed away. There's another copy at 258. I said, I really like the original Star Trek so much better than the Next Generation. And he just got mad, like on the phone, just really angry. I'm thinking, gee whiz. But the original Star Trek, for one, had fantastic music throughout the show. All the music in the background was great. There was action in it. Now, I don't really remember the background music in the 80s Star Trek The Next Generation. Maybe it was great. I do remember the theme song was borrowed from Star Trek The Motion Picture. It didn't have its own theme song. It had a theme song that we had already heard. I watched it for a couple of years, or at least a year and a half. I saw plots that I thought were taken right from the original Star Trek. I saw there not being a lot of action, I didn't think. Hold on, I'm trying to... Damn it. I have no idea if I even showed you these. It seemed like whenever there was action, it happened inside the holodeck, which was virtual reality. It didn't really happen. There was a robot on there called Data, an android. I found that actor to be highly obnoxious and effeminate and annoying. And the guy that I guess was supposed to be the Kirk figure I think he was the assistant #1 or something to the old captain, and his name I believe was Riker, and he seemed a little nerdy, something about him. He seemed like when I'd go to a comic convention and there'd be a bunch of schlubs that looked, like us, fat weirdos, and then there'd be some good-looking guy that looks like Warren Beatty or something with some beautiful girl on their arm. Okay, that's a rich guy, and she's just there because she's just tolerating it because she's landed herself a rich guy. And there'd be a few, and that guy with the beard, the Riker or Stryker or whatever, struck me as someone you'd see at a comic book convention, a nerd, but a rich one, And I don't know. I like the design of the original. I like the communicators. I don't like them tapping their little fucking nipples to talk to people. I liked the fact that all the girls wore mini skirts and bouffant hair. I just like the look and the aesthetic of the original Star Trek, and a lot of that was changed. Then there's a little kid on the bridge of the Enterprise, which struck me as like something right out of a Saturday morning cartoon. And I think originally in the Star Trek, the animated series, that in the 70s, they wanted to put kids on there and make it like the Super Friends, where they have little kid assistants, and they balked at that. But then they have a kid in the Next Generation. And what I was told, if you had just stuck around for till the 3rd season, that's when it got good. How am I supposed to watch till the 3rd season? What I think is good is this Orville. Now, the Orville is kind of like the original Star Trek. It's got a lot of elements of the Next Generation. But I like that show. But now, I was trying to catch up the 2nd season to see the 3rd season. And then I hear that I never liked that guy, the creator of the show and Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane or whatever. Now I hear he's one of the main donators to Nancy Pelosi. It's like, that makes me retch. But I'll still keep going with that. And that stupid show. But I'm sure it's great. I should just give it another chance. I like the way the Klingons looked in the original Star Trek. I don't like the ridges in the forehead. It's like, I just liked everything about the original Star Trek. Had monsters. Did the new Star Trek have monsters? They had some character. One thing I remember in The Next Generation, the first season, they had a character with a name that you can't say on YouTube. It's a letter. And if you say that, then it'll flag the video because you're not supposed to say that letter on YouTube. But anyway, he's an alien. And it was right out of to me, it was the Squire of Gothos, it was just the same thing. And I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like the guy that's blind. I didn't like anything, man. I don't like I think Bing Crosby's daughter was on it, but then she quit or got fired. I don't. To me, I like the 1960s. I don't like the 80s. But I don't want to. I guess I must have said that Star Trek: The Next Generation was woke or something, and it's like I don't even know what woke means. But it was consciously less violent, and I don't give a shit. Why am I even talking about it? Star Trek, the real Star Trek came out in the 60s, and the cartoon was okay in the 70s too. Okay, and any other Star Trek since then, I just don't care about. Here's Legion of Superheroes 269. It's got floating heads. It looks really great. It just doesn't have Superboy. And that's all right, Here's another copy of it. I think I already showed this to you. I don't know. I don't have any idea. 273. 274. 275. Yeah, I'm just a curmudgeon. I like the real Star Trek. I like the real Star Wars movies. There were 2.5 really good, amazing Star Wars movies. Anything else, I don't accept. I like comic books from the era that I like them. I don't like them much into the time period where they've got the UPC codes, but obviously I still bought them. But it just, this wasn't as good as it was in the 60s and early 70s. 281. Looks like I have 2 copies of 283. I really just, I've kind of given up on the world, man. There's just nothing interesting anymore. 287. I was really excited about that Marvel was doing movies, and then they got shitty a couple years ago, and so now, what is there culturally to look forward to? Is there some band I can look forward to their new album? No. Are there movies I can look forward to? Not that I'm aware of. 293. So I have to live in the past. 295, because the scum that create our culture are a bunch of satanic pieces of shit. 296. That don't have a creative bone in their body. 298. I guess YouTube it's fun to watch, people talk about the old stuff. And it's fun to read books about old stuff. So I guess there are new things coming out about old things. That's what I like. Yes, indeed. How about that? Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm completely wrong, because there's still Superboy in the comic. So I'm really wrong. Why is he not intermingling with the group anymore? At some point, that lawsuit made it impossible for them to use Superboy. Yeah, that's right, because they had a separate Superboy comic. I don't know what they're fucking thinking. 291. This is a lot of years ago, so I don't really remember why he stopped being in the group. The fuck are people honking about? The smoldering fury of the all-new Starfinger. Okay, this is when they started the numbering over again of Legion of Superheroes. This is 29. I'm not sure. Here's an annual for Legion of Superheroes. Number 1. And then there was this little mini-series, Secrets of the Legion of Superheroes. I don't know how many issues it had. I have 2 issues of it. I'm sure I've got a lot more of these Legion books in boxes upstairs that I'm organizing, but this is what I've got organized. So wait a second. This is out of order. Okay, so I showed you 306. See, I'm finding here's 305. What is this? This is 312. That's one of the things I really hated, and that'll probably piss some of you off too, is Dungeons and Dragons. The people I knew that started playing that, it's like they just turned into that was like the rabbit hole you didn't want to go down into. That's like you go down into that rabbit hole, you never come out of it. The Dungeons and Dragons, and then when I was in high school, I remember people started playing a game that was like Dungeons and Dragons, but it had superheroes in it. It was called Crusaders or Champions, I think. I don't know. I knew I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, 343, it became Tales of the Legion of Superheroes. And I guess I tried it occasionally to see how it was. Maybe it was okay. I just didn't like that it changed, man. It wasn't the comic. When Superboy left, that was kind of important. Shit about this one. And then Legionnaires. Guess who's back? So, they show her butt, and it's a Guess Who's Back. And it's a beautiful cover. I'm not sure if this is really something appropriate to do, but because in my mind comics are made for kids, but the art inside is a little wonky and 90s looking. Yeah, see, this is the kind of that's how art turned into in the 60s. Chris Gardner pencils, Dennis Kramer inks. Shit. Legion of Superheroes Annual 3. And people have forgotten about it, but there was a Saturday morning cartoon that came on in the... Shit, when would that have been? I guess that would have been in the early 2000s. It wasn't so far back as the 90s. It was after the Batman the Animated Series. And even the shit that I liked back then is being fucked with. I liked the X-Men cartoon in the 90s, and of course they're fucking that up and making a new version of the 90s cartoon, and they're gonna make it probably all, you know, dirty and or fuck it up with whatever political shit they can come up with. And they're the Batman the Animated Series that I loved. Here's the animated. They oh, that's right. I remember now. In the series, they couldn't call him Superboy. They called him Superman, even though he was a teenager, because they don't own the Superboy name anymore. That's the deal. So they can have him as a teenager, Clark Kent, and have him in his costume, but he has to be called Superman. It's a very weird thing. But anyway, so that's kind of the deal. They're fucking up everything. And then that was a great series, but now they're going to bring back the Batman series and fuck it up. And they have a Harley Quinn based on the animated series show on HBO that's nothing but gore and sex and the F word, and it's drawn badly, but in that 90s style, but computerized animation. So everything pure and wholesome and good in our, or somewhat in our culture, has to be bastardized and fucked up and turned into modern satanic shit. So everything you love is going to be shit upon, and then they're gonna tear down your culture, and then they're gonna tear down your flag and your statues, and but I have a better quality copy of this, but I just happen to have this here. It was obviously didn't sell, so they tore the title off and sent it back to get credit for it. So this comic I got for like nothing, but it's a great reading copy, and it reprints from the era when kids could go to the drugstore and buy these comics, and they were wonderful. But that era is long gone. And now we're in the fentanyl era. Yeah, maybe we should call this, there was the Golden Age, and there was the Silver Age, and some people say that there really was a different age in there between the 40 superheroes and the first appearance of the new Flash. And they call it the Atomic Era, or the Uranium Age, or the Atomic Age, and I certainly go for that, because EC Comics and all those pre-code horror comics and crime comics, they don't really, they feel as something different and apart from the Golden Age, which is all the patriotic superheroes and all that. And then there was the Bronze Age that I started buying comics during in the 70s, and then I guess there was the Copper Age in there, well, I don't know when that was, the 80s. I don't know what the 90s, when they had all the fake cover, the little stupid flashy covers. I think some people call that the, I don't know what age it is. What age is it now? The variant age? But I was just saying maybe they should call it the fentanyl age. On YouTube, all I see is pictures, videos from different cities where they're driving down the street and there's people just bent over in drug stupors, laying on the street in tents. Homeless people everywhere. We're sending billions of dollars to other countries, and we're not taking care of the people here, is what I'm seeing. But I think things are going to get better real soon. Because people are realizing how bad things are getting and that it's an intentional assault. It's Marxism is what it is. This is all intentional. Destroying kids' culture, all this is done for a reason, and it's been done in other countries, and destroying culture in general, and that's how they take over, ladies and gentlemen. But people are starting to realize, and soon we'll see. Or maybe things will just get worse. But remember this time period, America's first family. I bought this for nothing at the thrift store. It says it's collectible on the back. But I'll tell you, when he was president, things were good in this country. And Eisenhower's granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, is interesting. She's on YouTube. She's like a weird UFO woman. All right, so let's look at more of these price guides. Here's price guide number 14 with Katie Keene. Wow. What year is this? 1984-85. Wow. Let's see what Amazing Fantasy is selling for now. I really should show you the 60s Superboy comics, adventure comics. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Why don't you tell me down below what you want to look at? $1,100 in mint condition for Amazing Fantasy 15, $500 in fine, $160 in good. Man. I think people would pay $160 now just for a tiny little part of Amazing Fantasy the size of their thumbnail that got torn off of the corner of a page. That's a comic I'd like to have. Monster Crime. I wonder what that's worth now. I can't look it up on mycomicshop.com because I'm using my phone to record this. Monster Crime. But what else can I complain about and piss people off with? Let's see. I pissed people off that I pissed off Star Trek people. Oh, I know. I've never watched Doctor Who. The theme song is great. I was made aware of Doctor Who when I was a kid and got a British book called Monsters Who's Who. And it was like an encyclopedia of monsters, and since it was printed in England, it had the Daleks and some other Doctor Who creatures, but there was a Marvel Doctor Who comic, lasted a couple issues. I picked that up. I just thought, well, sounds great. I'll never be able to see it because they don't show it here in the States. And then they finally show it around this time period in the 80s and on PBS, and it just looks like a soap opera because it's shot on videotape, and I guess they didn't give it a chance. Plus, they put it on Saturday nights, and Saturday nights is when I was out, hanging out with friends, and so I never gave it a shot. But over the years, I kind of, I don't know, I just always thought, some people are rabidly into Doctor Who, and it's another thing I've always looked down upon. Let's see, I shouldn't, I guess. I'm looking at comic shops in Texas. They have Lone Star Comics. At that point, and we're in this Snow White one. We're up to 87, 88 the year of it. They had a bunch of locations. They had 2 in Arlington. Yeah, they had 1 in Dallas. And there was Remember When in Dallas. Remember When was a place. They had old comics, but nothing was priced, and that was an annoying. Remember When was run by, it was formed by one of Buddy Saunders' friends. There were these 3 comic collector dealers in the 60s in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they put out a comic called Star-Studded Tales, I think. I think that's what it was called. And Buddy Saunders formed Lone Star Comics, and his friend, I think his name was, I can't remember his name now. But his name was up on the sign as the founder. He had muscular dystrophy or something, was in a wheelchair. And he passed away before I ever went to his store. And the store was run by his widow. And his widow, she looked exactly like Aunt Bee in the Andy Griffith Show, and had a white hair and a big bun. And you go in there and she'd be loudly singing music from Cats or Phantom of the Opera. And she sounded just like Aunt Bee too. And she had this whole crew of Peppermint Patty type women that worked there. And when I remember bringing up a copy of the Monster Times, and of course they have to look at it and get out their price guide and flip through it to see, what they should charge for it, and they do it all in front of you, and you can hear them talking. And this one Peppermint Patty's lady says to the owner's widow, it's like, oh, look, there's Star Trek in it. It's like, oh, and they're gonna charge $15 more for it. And I'm thinking, there's no Star Trek fans that are buying the Monster Times, because, well, I do, but most of them aren't. And it's like, oh shit, they had to see that. It's so painful to go into a store where nothing's priced. And they had posters there too. I just can't remember his name right now, the guy that passed away, but yeah, I already lost my page. Yeah. You flip through these old things. Here's Bill Ward is still trying to sell art. That's so cool. Why was I so stupid that I didn't save up my money and get some art from Bill Ward? I had a piece of art by Bill Ward that I gave to an old girlfriend, but it was a piece of art that I really couldn't frame and put anywhere, because it was like a woman sitting on a chair with nails and some topless woman whipping her. It wasn't very nice, but it was Bill Ward's art, original art. But it was something he'd done in his later period for some dirty magazine or something. Oh well. I gotta get more upbeat, because all I'm doing is coming on doing these shows and complaining about the world. And I put up a video of I was at the dollar store, and there was an Amish guy in there, and there was a horse and buggy parked outside. I thought, that's cool. I put that video up, and I lost a subscriber. I don't know if they lost a subscriber because of that video, or if I said something about that maybe Joe Biden isn't a very good president or something. Maybe that offended somebody. I don't know. Because I might have offended people. I've got my list here. I've added to this list. Shit. Really, all you have to do, this is my list of annoying phrases, all you have to do is go to Hillary Clinton's Twitter, and you'll find a lot of these annoying phrases. Because what she's doing now, she's selling hats and shirts that say, but her emails. Like making fun of the fact that people, after Trump was raided, that people are saying, but what about Hillary Clinton? Why wasn't she charged for... And she's making fun of that and making money off of it. And then she says, I'm selling these for $30. Just saying. So I had to add just saying. That's one of the most annoying fucking things that people like her say. Just saying. And problematic. Chillin' is also a word that Hillary Clinton's used to try to sound cool and hip. So I've got, having said that being said, conversation, that came from Hillary Clinton. We're going to have a conversation today about... and this moving forward shit. I watched this Big Brother show. Every episode, someone says going forward or moving forward. At least it's said at least 5 or 6 times in every episode. And then they had a competition last night based on conspiracy theories, and they had them on a flat Earth, and then they had something about fake news, and they threw newspaper at them, and then they were hanging on to this, the last one that doesn't fall wins this contest, and then they were they're blowing smoke at him, saying some people believe in chemtrails, and it's like I don't know what other. I'm sure when I see it, when they finish the next episode, it was designed to make people that are Trump supporters, they're all crazy. They all believe in flat Earths and chemtrails and this forward thing. You listen for it because it's communism. That's part of the Marxist shit that they're throwing down our throats. This is that's always been a communist slogan. Forward, moving forward. We're progressive. We move forward. We're going forward. And if you don't like it, that's a microaggression. It is what it is. Build back better. New liberal order. Climate change. That's all they talk about is climate change. But they hired 87,000 IRS agents and they're arming them. So that's always nice. That'll get rid of inflation. Anyway, so yeah. So yeah. That's the other. I have that written on here. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. It's just the way it is, man. All right, so 14, 17. Oh, wait, here's 13. Now, this is not something... I was not the original owner of this. I bought this at Half Price Books. See how normal people fuck up their books? And see, an abnormal person like me, it looks like it's brand new because they open them too far. And, but see, I don't let that happen. But anyway. We're up to what? Oh, wait, we're going back in time, because this is 13. 83, 84. So that's my first year of college. Damn. Sure was. God damn, I'm hungry. 13, 14. There aren't many restaurants in town. There's Dairy Sweet, which is like an old Tasty Freeze. It's been there since the 50s, and it's like state fair kind of food. Everything's fried. There's that. There's a Mexican restaurant called El Vaquero. It's open Monday. It's open every day of the week. It's at an old gas station. There's 2 restaurants. There's Subway. Where else is there? There's a place called Rumors. It sounds like it's a titty bar, but it's not. It's just it does have a bar in it, but it's for families can eat there too. So, okay, we rarely go to that one. I think you have to pay cash there. Yeah, that may be the problem. You have to go to an ATM to go there. And then there's, there's a barbecue restaurant, but it's only open Thursday through Saturday. Only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But this week they're not open because maybe they get some family event going on. So that's one less restaurant. And, man, I can't think of any other restaurant open, but you can go get some hamburgers or pizza at Casey's, which is like a quick trip kind of gas station. But those are your options. We're up to the 22nd edition. This is from the year of our Lord 1990, moving up into the modern era. Let's see, man, the print's getting small. I don't think this episode has been that amazing, because you're not seeing anything that amazing. Oh, it's got the comic stores in Wither. Let's see if there was any good comic stores here in the state I'm in now. Iowa. Oakleaf Comics in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Cosmic World and Baseball Cards in Dubuque, Iowa. Oakleaf Comics in Mason City, Iowa. And the Comic Log in West Des Moines. Des Moines is close to me, but that store's unquestionably no longer there. I didn't see it listed. Okay. Who cares? Let's look up Amazing Fantasy. I don't know why I'm looking up that particular one. I don't have a copy of it. I should look up a comic I actually own. Amazing Fantasy. Okay, now it's finally starting to go up a little bit. Good, 350, fine, 1400. Very fine, near mint, 4000. And near mint to mint, 7000. Okay, it's now in 1990, it's gotten to be prohibitively expensive. It's now the price of a car. And now in 1990, which is, that's like almost 35 years ago. Yeah, there's no real hope, you know, to... But, you know, all these books are being bought by these people that are slabbing them. And then there's not going to be any books that aren't slabbed. And how are you ever going to see the interiors of these books? It still just doesn't make any damn sense to me.